It's like every season we're like, Dr. Stone is back.
It just
What
never
was it
stops.
ending? Like,
Honestly, I'm glad that we have something there, like a pillar, like a
I'm sure
a
it's
rock.
great.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we throw open the gates to anime, where we deep dive into the classics as well as bring you the best new anime. Ever wanted to get into anime but didn't know where to start? Then we are the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sam. Charlie, how are you today?
I'm good. Excited to talk about this current season of anime that we've all been watching. You know, pretty chill, pretty excited to... I mean, I've got some thoughts, but...
We got some thoughts.
Yeah.
Graeme, how are you, my friend?
Not excited to talk about this season of anime.
Yes. Look.
Bit of a stinker.
Yes, so obviously today we are doing our winter roundup. So it's been the winter season of anime, the first quarter of 2025, and well, we predicted this when we did our little hype up back in December.
For once we were right.
And for once we were right. It's been pretty disappointing. Doesn't mean there aren't some good gems hidden among there. There are. But I will say overall, pretty disappointing season. But as I'd like to do in these situations when it's a weak season, I catch up on things that I've missed. So that's what I've been doing, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, just before we jump in, of course, if you like what we're doing, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where hopefully you are watching this podcast. But if you are listening on the audio platforms, please head to Spotify and or Apple and give us a review. You can just click 5 stars on Spotify, or you can write us a review on Apple. It really does make a massive difference. If you really like what we're doing though, you can meet us over on Patreon. And Patreon, we do little special episodes, we do early releases, and we do behind the scenes footage. This is obviously a completely independently produced show, apart from, sponsors we get every now and then. But of course, we do this mostly in our spare time, and every little bit does really help us make this as good as we possibly can. And we want to make it as good as we can. Thank you all so much to our patrons. We do really love the support we get over there. We have a nice little community over there. But anyway, watching the winter 2025 season, pretty grim.
I need your help, viewers, because for a lot of things, but mostly for this. Is there something, like, at the end of this episode, or if you want to just look at the chapter titles or whatever, just let us know if we've actually missed something, because I feel like there must be some hidden gem somewhere that I haven't, mined up. Sorry, I've been playing Stardew Valley, so I've been in my... I'm like, I've got to find, there's something, you know? Because I've got, the one I talk about that I do think is, really great. I'll talk about it later, because we'll start with the, more popular ones
The
first.
big boys.
But I do think it is a hidden gem and it's beautiful. But I'm like, there must be something else missing. I don't know. I feel like there's just usually in the seasons don't have one of those big famous shonen coming through. We did have a shonen that was a bit disappointing this season for a lot of people. Usually there's just a lot of other genres that I kind of was sifting through and I couldn't find anything that really made me stick. So please just let me know if you think there's anything that I would like in the comments.
Of course, yes.
Help
please.
me.
Please do comment anything that you think we might have missed or that other people would benefit from watching. But let's kick off with something that is actually going really well. And it's a returning show, of course. But Solo Leveling is kicking goals. Solo Leveling is kicking goals. I'm really enjoying it.
I'm going to find, I know I'm usually editing this episode, but I can't be bothered, but I was going to find a clip of you just dragging Solo Leveling last season because you were so off it. And this is interesting. And we had a whole conversation, and anyone who's not a stranger to this podcast knows that I'm a big manhwa reader. And so, we both are. And Solo Leveling.
Nah, I hate it.
Solo
I actually fell so far off manhwa right now.
Oh, see, I'm back. I'm on.
You're back on it?
Oh, I'm back on it. I never left. It's a full problem I have. I read more manhwa than I do manga, easily.
I try to look at my phone a lot less, and I feel like that was just really driving up my screen time, which is scrolling through manhwa.
That's actually true. And maybe I need to.
Midnight in the dark. Why can't I sleep anymore?
My partner's actually nodding, being like, "This sounds like you." But I think that we had a lot of we'll talk about it because we've had a bit of a discussion or a debate about how a lot of these manhwa adaptations, particularly the action power leveling up ones that are very tropey like that, haven't really translated that well to anime shows, and I think that Solo Leveling has just proven us wrong with season 2.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I like all those tropes. So I wonder if someone like you who's not super across those tropes. It's not like it's hard to get across them.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and of course there's so many overlapping things with shonen or action
of
manga.
course.
That obviously of course in the similar conversations. But there's a lot of Yeah, I please tell me what you think of season 2. I'm interested to hear.
Well, I think the big thing is there's been a big step up in the animation, right? So obviously, episode 6 was absolutely mind-blowingly phenomenal. So good. The action, the direction, the huge sort of Sakuga moment where, for those of you who don't know what that means, Sakuga, oh God, there's a whole school thought about what this means, but in the way that I'm using it in this context, you can tell when Sakuga starts to happen when a certain episode will just jump in quality, right? And this was one of those episodes in season 2, episode 6 of Solo Leveling, which I obviously dedicated a lot of budget and time and effort towards. And it just looked absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I was like, hell yeah.
But the animation's never been bad for Solo Leveling.
No,
Like,
it was
it's
a
always
bit
been
flat
pretty
in the first
good.
season, I'll say.
You know what it is? It's the coolest mechanic isn't in that first core.
Yeah.
It's when he becomes the Shadow Monarch.
Yes,
That's when you're like,
yes.
oh shit, this is actually an interesting power set. And then
Yes.
how they actually animate the Shadow army is
Yes.
just like it's hype.
Yeah,
There
right.
wasn't that in the first. You had him like just doing cool shit with knives and stuff, which
Yes.
wasn't as interesting. So visually, I think it's just like evolving a bit more.
He had
It
to
is.
level up, and it's so
He had to
cool.
level up.
Honestly, you know what? I love
Leveling,
leveling up
just love leveling up.
because I'm not very good at that in life. So he's my
about it.
hero. No, I think you know what. The world's pretty bleak, and I think that sometimes you just need your protagonist to have a continuous win. That was a big criticism that you had of the show.
Yeah, it
and I
was,
get
yeah.
that. Like,
And
I
that
do.
will be the crux of the entire show.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
This
This
I've
man will
kinda-
never lose.
I'm sort of into that in a
Yeah.
in a way because
Yeah.
it's like it's not like One Punch Man where it's like ironically doing
What's
that
the
or
joke?
taking like a joke, taking a piss.
They're making a pastiche of these exact characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm happy that it's quite earnest about it. Like I kind of go, yeah, like I'm gonna tune in. I'm gonna see him do some cool shit.
It's Sun
And
Jin Woo,
that's
and
what
he's
I'm-
doing
and
stuff.
He's doing stuff, and I'm like, I'm such a sucker. I'm like,
Yeah.
arise. I love it.
I think I've sort of come to terms with it a lot more for what it is. And what I like about the show as well is that it knows what it is. It's not trying to be something different because like you compare it to something again, and this isn't just a Korean trope. Like you see the overpowered protagonist everywhere in anime and manga, particularly in isekais. So obviously something like Overlord, Misfit of the Demon Academy as well.
Oh,
against
yeah, yeah,
Voldemort,
yeah.
like
Just
just
yeets
so
a castle.
so
Yeah.
literally yeets a castle at someone. Like again, that's funny, but it's not funny in the same way that One Punch Man is funny. And like I just
Yeah.
got bored of those shows, especially Overlord. Overlord just became so like edgy and so like he's such a badass. Yeah, that's what it's like, you know. And it's just like fine. Every single woman's obsessed with him. I'm like, oh my god, he's a skeleton, man. But like,
Hey, hang on. Sorry. Jack Skellington is the OG crush, so I feel like I get it.
okay,
I see you, Overlord.
Okay,
Sorry.
maybe they got something right.
Title
but,
of the episode is Jack Skellington
that's-
OP. Like,
But I think just the tone of this is different. Like, yes, he's become much more of a kind of stoic, silent, kind of strong, silent type figure compared to what he was at the start of the show, which is a little bit boring, to be honest with you. Like, he's not a super interesting character.
No, he's not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, he's yes, he's got a noble cause. Obviously, he's trying to help find a cure for his mother, make enough money to support his sister. Like, seems like a nice guy,
He's a lovely brother,
lovely guy.
and you could learn a thing or two.
sounds
haven't you
Sam
leveled
needs
up?
to
Dude, I
level
leveled
up a
up.
little.
Yeah, God damn
I'm
it.
watching it being like, what the fuck?
Why isn't Sam leveling up?
God, I'm sick of this shit.
But no, I just think the direction of the fight choreography has been fantastic, and like because I think there was the opening episodes of the first season I really liked. So I was really
Oh, yeah.
in. Right,
No, that's
like,
cool.
they
Talk
did-
about
they
not
nailed
getting
that.
a win. Not
Like,
getting a win.
getting
It's brutal.
wrecked.
Yeah.
And they animated that really well. But then after that, until Igris,
Yeah.
I sort of thought the animation was actually kind of disappointing. And for me, it's like if you're going to make a show like this, where it literally is like protagonist never loses, keeps getting stronger, power fantasy, all this stuff, make it look cool for me at least. And they are. So I'm in. You know what I mean? And I know what it is, and I'm all for it. And like I like to turn my brain off, and like it's not hell problematic, like a lot of these shows are. It's not a harem thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, everyone does like love him, but
They're-
not in a way
yes.
that's like,
it's not as creepy as Overlord.
yeah. But this one you kind of like, you would. He's
Well, yeah,
hot,
he's also
you know.
pretty hot. Yeah. So,
And he leveled up in the anime. It was actually written into the storyline. It's like he got hotter because he leveled up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
got more handsome.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, okay.
and taller.
It's canon.
Everyone's like, something's different about you. And he's like 6 foot tall, ripped. I was like,
Jawline
What?
more pronounced. Like,
oh, he's changed so much since he was in the hospital. I'm like,
He had his legs torn off.
Mean? Like, it's a completely different human being.
Literally a different character. But no, solo leveling, look, it's good. It is what it is. I like
think
it.
his power's cool.
His
And
power's
that's-
sick.
and
That's
that
the thing,
is something
yes.
that is like well worth just like watching for, and how he uses it, and how they've animated it, and how they've characterized all of that. They kind of have their own personalities.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually really fun.
Yeah, I like it. So we're all in on solo leveling. That's sort of
good.
carrying
What
the
a
season.
turnaround, Sam! You were like off it last time.
Yeah, I was. And
Yeah, but he also didn't like ramen like last week.
Yeah,
Now he
that's
refers
true.
to himself as, and I quote, the ramen king.
okay, so
That's like the worst take.
Okay.
Sam eats one ramen.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm the
one
eats
king of
one
ramen.
ramen.
we wanted to calm down for a second. So those of you who are the audience who are in the dark about this, because we had a big
I'll drag it into the light, you phony. Like,
we had a good 7-minute conversation at the top of this podcast, which has been edited out for all of your sakes, where we were just talking about ramen. Famously, I never used to like ramen. Do you know
Famously.
why? Famously.
So
famously.
Famously to all of you.
Yeah.
It's
If you come to Australia, that's
Google-
the first thing
you
you learn.
Google
fact
me.
about Sam
Famously.
dislikes
yeah.
ramen.
Google me, famously, top
Yeah,
thing that
it's
comes up.
ramen.
But basically, I never used to like. I wasn't a noodle guy. Okay, it was a textural
wild.
thing. It was a textural thing. I thought they were too slimy.
There's so many different noodles out there.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't
bad
for me.
take.
Anyway, but it was a bad
Bad
take. And
take.
you know what, Charlotte? I've leveled up in my life, and I have now realized that I can admit when I'm wrong,
Yeah.
and I can change my decisions
He's
without
the
having
noodle
to make it my
monarch.
whole personality. I am
He's
the
the
noodle
noodle
monarch
Yeah.
now.
Rise,
Absolutely.
ramen.
Rise ramen into my face.
my face.
Basically, love ramen. It's incredible, but a rather recent phenomenon. But now, of course, because I'm me, real into it.
A lot of changes in Sam's life.
A lot of changes, Sam.
Lot.
You know,
He likes solo leveling, ramen.
it's all happening. So, what else has caught your eye in this relatively weak season?
Right, well, we're talking about returning anime.
Mm.
Let's talk about one that is still being excellent and is one of my favorite shows in the last like 10 years is the Apothecary Diaries season 2.
Hey yo.
Yeah.
And it's freaking awesome still. And
Yeah.
it's cooking at the moment. You know, like it's, this season has actually gone, it's kind of stepped away a bit. There's from the mystery of the week narrative structure that it used a lot in season 1, which I did like. And they still have it a little bit, but you can tell that there's more of an overarching story going through this. And they're bringing in things from season 1. Yeah, it's just great. You know, Mau Mau, what a great character. It's all the things that you love about Apothecary Diaries. But yeah, it's continuing to be one of the better adaptations of something I think I've seen in a long time. So it's a really special show, and I'm excited that it's kept up the quality that it had in season 1.
Cool.
Yeah, one of the benefits of a weak season is that I can catch up on things, and so I'm up to date with Apothecary Diaries now.
You smashed through
Been
that.
going hard. I'm a huge fan. I think it's brilliant. Thankfully for me, I could binge it. So the first season, I just like hammered through it. I imagine watching it week to week, perhaps I might have been a little bit bored of the mystery of the week kind of thing. Because like it took quite a while for it to land into more of a complex, convoluted sort of plot. I mean, you could see it all coming. Once they put it all together, you're like, oh, it's all connected.
It's
okay,
it's
cool.
a good rewatch for that reason.
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
mind watching it episode by episode because I feel like Mystery of the Week still makes standalone somewhat bearable. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, it's
Yeah.
good. Don't get me wrong, I never disliked it. I mean, I've smashed literally, 30 odd episodes in like a week. So it's good. Mau Mau is such a good character.
Great
It is
protagonist.
so good to see a really strong, interesting, different female lead.
I know I've said this, I think that like her character is one of the most interesting in anime, full stop.
Agreed.
And it's funny that her and Freerin came out the same, like that.
Yeah.
Freerin and Apothecary kind of similar energy, but different characters. Like, yeah, Mau Mau is, I love her. She's so clued into everything and yet so clueless about other things as well. And she's,
Yes.
but like just, I've talked about this in non-so, like honestly, I feel like last year I just continuously talked about this, but I mean, just give me something with some court intrigue,
Oh.
give me like some mysteries, a cool protagonist, like a beautiful setting. And like the animation is stunning in that show.
Really, really good.
The way it's designed, honestly, the music.
Kevin
shout out to
Penkin,
Kevin
shout
Penkin.
out.
I think it's a fantastic show that I honestly think a lot of people could watch even if they're not into anime.
You should be watching it.
I think it's,
frankly,
yeah.
It's really,
And
really good.
I think it's very popular and rightly so. So we'll stop harping on about it
Yeah.
because I think if you haven't watched it at this point, then just do it.
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
Can confirm. Very good. What else returning? So obviously Dr. Stone's back, and again I feel I've spent way too much time on this podcast talking about that show because it's fine. And
Feels like every season we're like, Dr. Stone is back.
it just
When
never
was
stops.
ending? Like,
I don't know.
every year is like, that's going to be the last one. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like Dr. Stone is never. Honestly, I'm glad that we have something there, like a pillar, like a.
Oh, I'm sure
a
it's great.
rock,
Like,
one
I
would
just feel like
say.
every year it's like, this is the last one.
Yeah.
And then I
John
come to
Scott,
these
sorry.
wrap-ups and you're like, it's
Then
back. back.
Dr.
baby.
Stone's back, baby. It's again, it's this season's interesting. They're in America, and it's science user versus science user.
Weren't they in space previously?
Well, no, they see. Here's the thing. I got it wrong.
What?
The bad enemy. The bad enemy.
What?
You're the number one Dr. Stone watcher. according to
Somehow.
You're the only.
Somehow
You're
I'm
keeping
the
Dr.
one.
Stone alive.
Somehow I'm the only guy who talks about this show. It's no, it's quite
It's a
quite
very-
significantly popular
very-
show.
There's probably like
But
a huge
it's,
YouTube like
of course there
dedication
is.
that are going to cover you
But
that.
it's
You got it wrong.
well, no,
They didn't go to
the
space.
The main bad guy.
That
they're-
seems
they're-
like a really
seems like
big
a
mistake.
They're
Did you
planning
watch
to
it?
go to space.
Okay.
Because the main antagonist appears to be on the moon.
Okay.
Is
So-
it the bad guy from Naruto? What's her name?
Is
The
it
Kaguya?
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 I hope so.
Is
What a
Naruto and
cro-
Dr. Stone a shared universe?
What?
They
A
should.
crossover. What a crossover that
The
would be.
crossover we never thought we needed and don't want. But
But we
it's,
deserve, because look at the world.
We do deserve. Look at
Yeah.
but no, he's like basically he needs to go to America to get corn to make the revival fluid, and then he gets to America, and there happens to be someone just like him, but he's obviously a teenager, and this guy's like a fully grown adult who has got his own science empire, and it's way better. So the whole thing about the show that's been interesting is that like basically he's come across all these problems, but he's just solved it through science because he's like the only guy who can use science. Now he's up against someone who's like way better at science than him.
What?
And that's actually kind of interesting. And like I say, the show's smart, dumb, dumb, smart, whichever way you want to put it.
Yeah, okay.
Some like
Corn. Is there anything it can't do?
Honestly.
yes. So look, my thoughts on Dr. Stone have been way too expressed on this show for a show that I'm pretty ambivalent about. So like, it's good, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's just shonen silliness. And sometimes it gives you really good hard science. Sometimes a character who wears a watermelon on her head can disappear into that watermelon and roll down hills in it.
That's science, Sam. What are you talking
That
about?
is science. So it's just, that's basic science.
That
I've seen
is-
Neil deGrasse Tyson do that.
It was Carl Sagan's whole thesis. But anyway, it's
We were talking about it more because we're doing an episode on scientists in anime.
are doing
We've been
science
promising
anime.
for ages.
Oh, that's
coming.
Yeah, and so don't worry, Sam, you're going to be
real
talking
good one.
about Dr. Stone.
Somehow there's more Dr. Stone coming for you all, despite the fact that I really don't think it's more than like a 6.5 out of 10. But anyway, other returning shows, of course, ReZero's back, baby. And
So you're going to defend yourself here from the last episode where people don't know that you're a ReZero fan.
oh, I'm a huge ReZero
Yeah.
fan. Obviously, we
So,
had
we had
our
a
guest
guest.
Alex on who just doesn't like it. Fair enough. You know what I mean? Like, I get
And
it.
we had a short edit of it, and people got quite upset because they thought that
It's out of context.
And it's funny though because like he doesn't like it, but it's just funny because Sam fucking loves ReZero.
As
and
does
so
Graeme.
do
Yeah, I love it as well.
It's a great. So this podcast is a big supporter of ReZero.
I know. Anyway, ReZero is back, and whoa, season 3, episode 10. So the second returning show after the break, and we'll talk about the break in a second because it's actually quite interesting from an anime production standpoint. But holy crap, it looked amazing. The animation of Amelia's ice weapons.
Always looks good, but
Yes.
like dialed up a notch this year.
So what's really interesting about this, right? And the reason, like, so when we did the Gateway Awards, I put Regulus up as one of our main antagonists, and he got like
Oh, you got slaughtered.
no votes, right?
Yeah.
Because what ReZero did was quite interesting, and they've done a split core. Now, that's not new. Lots of shows do split cores, and when I say core, that essentially means season. So obviously the anime season runs between the 4 seasons of the year, the 4 quarters. Sometimes you'll get the first core in fall, and then the second core in summer, or whatever it is. That wouldn't work because they come after each other, but it doesn't matter. They can jump around. So it can be, let's say you get the first core in winter. Sometimes it'll just like Apothecary Diaries last year. The cores will go back to back. So they'll run across 2 seasons back to back. There'll be 24 episodes essentially aired without a break. But other times you'll get something in winter and it might not come out again until the fall.
Yeah.
So, have 2 whole quarters where it doesn't come out. But what ReZero did, which was quite interesting, I haven't seen this before. If you have, let me know. But basically they've done a 16 episode split across 2 seasons. So obviously we had the fall season where we had 8 episodes, and then it just stopped and had basically an 8-week break before coming back in the middle of the winter season with another 8 episodes, which will bring us up basically to the end, or a little bit even into.
I mean, to be fair, it
spring.
was off air for like 3 years, like 4
yeah,
years.
4.
So
So,
they
but
must
it's-
have banked episodes.
Yeah, so
Just split it up weird.
it's weird that they've done this. So it lost a lot of momentum in some
First way,
ways.
yeah, a little bit.
Because it's very rare to like eight episodes when normally you would do a 12 to 13, sometimes 10. That's rare these days, but sort of run of a season, but to do 8, break for 8 weeks, and then do 8 in the sort of in the middle of seasons, it's kind of a weird thing to do.
Must be a production thing.
Yeah, so it's certainly a production thing, right? But I just find it interesting because the quality has been high the whole time. It's just obviously the first 8 episodes was a build-up. And now we're in the middle of like the payoff of that build-up. And it is firing on all cylinders. It is outstanding. It's just interesting that they would do that break. But if it's something we start to see a little bit more of in anime production schedules, I'm kind of fine with it. Because if it looks this good, I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know what you all think. But how have you found? You're up to date now.
Yeah, look, I think it's like, I'll just parrot everything you've just said. I think it just looks great. And it can't, like, you were right about the pacing. But yeah, I think this last last core has been great.
Yeah, well, it's just kicked off.
Yeah. And it's good because I was a bit worried at the start of the first core.
It was slow. I mean, they also gave us a 90-minute first episode too, which was
nice.
Very generous of them.
Nice, very nice. Yeah. And it wasn't bad. Like, all the what's his name?
Regulus, yeah.
Like, as soon as he came in, I was like, oh, I'm locked in. It just really has, like, kicked up a gear.
Yeah, well, there's 3 Sin Archbishops fighting all the main royal candidites. It's like,
and there's
happening.
So many characters, isn't there?
There's so many characters.
Every time they roll a new season, I'm like, can't remember that. Can't remember you. Who the hell are you?
Well, you can watch my video where I
Zenshu,
tell you all about that on our YouTube channel.
Who's this cat person? Who's this
so many
guy?
cat
Like,
people. Why is there a lizard man?
Yeah, they're just drunk. Like, every time, I'm like...
Anyway, ReZero is great. I just thought that'd be an interesting thing to bring up about production schedules and maybe the anime industry starting to change it up a little bit, which we don't see very often. So I just thought it was worth noting. So that's the most of returning shows. So let's now talk about some of the newies. And okay, we have to start with the one which we spend a lot of time hyping up, and not for a bad reason, because the manga is famously good.
Yeah.
Right, Graeme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great manga. And a lot of manga fans are really excited about this. But of course, we're talking about Sakamoto Days, which has just been the victim of a poor adaptation. And it's interesting because I think sometimes as well, it's difficult because sometimes you get caught up in like Reddit and Twitter threads and stuff, because those who have their expectations set at a very high level are obviously very upset with this. But then there's also those who are just seeing it fresh and new for what it is and are probably fine with it. You know what I mean? So you've got to be careful not to get too sucked into the very loud portion of a fan base who have their expectations not met and then get very upset about it.
And I think people are really just expecting everything to get the same adaptation from every studio. Like, you know, people are going like, oh, we want like down level at like kind of, you know, which is actually rare. And I think like I've only watched a couple of episodes of Sakamoto Days. I'm not up to date, but I don't think it's bad. It's not. It's like I just know that it could be way better. Like I know that it could, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying.
It's just mid.
It's enjoyable.
It's fine, but I guess that's the problem. People were expecting great. We're getting fine.
I think like the character designs and stuff, like the translation to the manga is pretty spot on.
Okay.
Like character models are like compared to like Kaiju number 8 and their character models, which are just atrocious. But then everything sort of looked good together. They've done a really good job on the character models, but I just think when it needs to switch gear into action, it just doesn't do it very well. Like
That's the thing, isn't
then there is good stuff in there. Like I think the opening was great, little bits like that. But I think you need to nail that opening anyway, so maybe they put all their eggs in one basket there. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
It's a tone problem, you'd say. They kind of miss the tone, yeah.
Because it is a slice of life with an action. It's an assassin show with slice of life. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I just think the action could be a bit smoother.
This is what I'm hearing from a lot of so I haven't read the manga, right? I'm only watching this new. But for me, it's just very underwhelming, you know? And it's like, from what I'm seeing is that what sets the show apart is the kind of kinetic work that the mangaka has done in the panels. And he's like, some people are like, I could read the manga and it looks better than this fucking animation. That's what I'm seeing people say. Yeah. I'm not saying that. But it's interesting because I think it's got a very distinct action or style of fighting in a way, because with the way that Sakamoto is obviously sort of inhibited by the fact he can't just pick up a gun and shoot someone. He has to use
hit a frying pan.
Use a frying pan or a street sign, which is fun. Yeah. But someone did put up, I think I saw it on Reddit, where someone put up like a split screen of the season 2 episode 6 of the High Orc battle of solo leveling, and then underneath Sakamoto's big battle with the guy on the Ferris wheel with the glowing rock things that he throws, whatever that guy's name is, and just the difference. And it wasn't as if it's like, obviously they're different shows. One's a high fantasy, one is sort of, it's not realistic, but it's set in the real world, even though Sakamoto essentially has magic powers. But it just the direction was just so flat. There was no kinetic energy. It
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, it was so stunted. It was just so like, and for a show that's meant to really sell itself on its action sequences, it was just like,
It's let down, yeah.
wow, this is an adaptation problem.
Yeah, and you're right. It's the people's reading the manga and expectations, because you read these like beautiful like action scenes in the panel and the pacing of it and how it's laid out. You follow the action really well, and then you see it and you're like, oh, it's maybe not as good as what I'm imagining. So you're obviously fighting that as well. But then again, there's better action than mangas out there.
Yeah.
Anime, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when you think about Spy Family,
Yeah.
again, similar vein, family show with spy assassin elements. They think they handle their action very well.
They do.
But the action's top tier.
Yeah.
It's great.
So-
Yeah.
And it should be that level as well.
Yes, yes, that's what we're missing. And again, I've fallen off. I kind of just got bored of it. I was
Yeah.
sort of like,
I can see that.
you know, I was like, and also the fact that like Sakamoto barely speaks, like, makes him a very kind of, I find him a little bit boring, you know. And it's like,
You think he's better as a manga protagonist
yeah, see, I can see that making a lot more sense.
with an inner monologue.
I love
Yeah.
his design though.
Design's
Design's
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
But again, I can see how it's popular and why it is. But unfortunately, we're just getting one of those like, it's not Tokyo Ghoul level bad, you know. It's not that.
It's just a bit flat. It's not like I've ruined the show.
No.
It's like a faithful adaptation. It just is not quite meeting people's expectations who are fans. And it's not quite, from what I can see, capturing the hearts of people. But if you enjoy it, it's like not a, again, I don't think it's
not
bad.
bad.
Not a bad show.
Like, I
No,
think,
not at all.
so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just mid. It's mid. Good
It's
example
mid
of-
when it
perfect example of
should
mid.
be. It should be this year. This should be the hottest show.
Should be hot.
Everyone should be raving about, recommend it to their friends.
100%.
Similar like the Spy Family, that got a lot of people into
Yeah.
anime as a good gateway.
Yeah, and
It just
same with
isn't.
Kaiju number 8. But let's move on to some new shows. There aren't a huge amount. Charlie, you've been watching one that you like, though.
Yeah, so I've actually been really pleasantly surprised. And like honestly, I shouldn't be that surprised because for some reason this like marriage between two things works like from what I can see, it's just been tick after tick after tick, and that is ice skating and anime.
You seem to like your ice skating animes.
I do. I like ice skating. I like anime, so not that surprising.
How often do you watch
But-
ice skating outside of anime?
Wait, it was the Winter Olympics and religiously. But that's the only
Religious.
time.
Okay, yeah, but that's- I think that's every person
I
on
think
the
I
planet.
watched that
Religiously for
fucking.
2
I
weeks.
watched Scott Moyer and Tessa. Scott and Tessa, the Canadian, like
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
They do their Moulin Rouge dance. It's like I watch that like once a month. It's stunning.
It's good. Yeah,
It's
that's
literally
true.
stunning, and it shouldn't.
Okay.
That shouldn't have got a laugh out of you. That should have got some awe and
I
respect.
think the once a month thing was
The once a month thing is what I was laughing
Sometimes
at.
you just need
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
uplifting
Yeah.
spirit.
We've established the world's a hard place.
It is.
So-
It is, man.
I
It
need
really
solo
is.
leveling and that particular ice dance
That's
routine
it.
from
Whatever it's
2018 or whatever it is.
Whatever you need to get through the day.
Absolutely. So I am watching Medalist, which I did bring up in the hype up because I was kind of like, yeah, cool, that sounds all right. But I was like, I don't really know much about this manga. It's supposed to have manga. So I went, I don't know, but I'll give it a go. It's on Disney. So it was harder to watch than it usually is, like, you know, but I loved it. It's really, really good. And then I did some research. Apparently, the manga is like beloved by people,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought I just found this like absolute lightning, and I was like, "I'm like so cool for finding this." No, it's very popular,
The most popular show on the earth.
incredibly popular manga.
Remember this show called Game of Thrones? Like,
That's about it.
There's books too.
And I'll be honest with you, when I first read the synopsis for it, I was a little bit worried because I just was
remember.
kind of like, I don't know, I assume it's wholesome, but you never fucking know these things. But particularly a show about younger kids. So, but it is incredibly wholesome. So it's like about this whole storyline is there is this girl who's 11 and she really, really wants to ice skate, but her mother won't let her do it because her older sister was a competitive ice skater, and she got injured, and then it kind of stopped her career, and the mother was just like, I'm not letting my youngest daughter do that because I saw how much work she put in. She didn't get a childhood because of it, and then it all stopped because of one injury. So that's like, you know, kind of interesting chat about that. And then this girl's 11, and I didn't know this, but for ice skating, I guess this does make sense. That's actually old to start. Like,
it is old.
Yeah.
A friend
So
of mine was an ice skater, and she
Really?
was like 5
5,
years old.
yeah.
Like,
by the time
like
you're
ballet as
11,
well,
yeah,
right?
you got to.
yeah, by the time you're 11, you should be like, I just learned this because I'm an expert in ice skating from watching this and Yuri on Ice. Basically, you get these kind of like stages as you go, and you can then be competitive. Now you have to do like an exam. And so this girl, basically the storyline is that her mother won't let her ice skate, but what she does is she turns up to her local rink and she tries to sneak in to watch. And then the sweet man who runs the rink does
Sounds
a
like
deal
a
with...
Disney movie from the 90s. Like,
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's
Like-
this older
Mighty
guy.
Ducks?
yeah. She's like,
Gordon
quack, quack.
Bombay? Like,
Flying V!
basically,
Where's our Mighty Ducks
it's
anime?
True.
it's a Deuteragonist, and so
Ayo!
are you happy with this?
Is a word, by the
Basically, this girl, yeah, she's like, it's really sweet. She, the guy does a deal with her, and he's just like, not the other, this old man who runs the rink, who's a side character, but important to the story. He, and to my heart, he makes a deal with her. He's like, I've got a lot of birds. If you bring me some like live worms, because she loves collecting worms, for the birds, I'll let you go in and skate. And he's doing it, obviously, like trying to make her feel like she's doing something in exchange for it, which is very nice. Anyway, for some reason, this 26-year-old guy who is a professional ice skater, but his backstory is that he didn't start ice skating until he was 14. And he wanted to, but no one would train him because he's like too old, like that. Nope, not
You're
impossible.
done.
But he did
like
it
a Jedi.
anyway. Yeah. He does it
All seem
anyway.
to learn the ways of the Force.
And he ends up not being able to do solo skating, which is what he wanted to do originally, but he ends up in ice dancing. And he ends up getting pretty far and going to a championship, but he doesn't make it like crazy far. And he still does like ice dance shows and things like that. So he's still a professional skater. He's very good, but he's not like, he never got to Olympian level. And it's because no one would train him for years. So he had to do it kind of himself. Like it was sort of, anyway, he kind of is just moved recently into town, and this girl who he used to skate with, his skating partner, she's like, you should be a coach. And he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm unqualified or whatever. Anyway, a series of fun, cute events happen where he catches her, what he thinks sneaking in to skate for free. And he's like, you can't do that. The skating rink will close down, like chases her out. And then basically it just turns up this series of events where he ends up coaching her or agreeing to coach her and convincing her mother that she's actually like incredibly gifted because she's been teaching herself how to skate all this time.
Like cool runnings with the bobsleigh.
Pretty much. But she's been teaching herself how to skate this time, and she shows some incredible natural aptitude towards it. And now this is an interesting relationship between a coach and a student. She's 11, he's 26. That's why when I first saw the poster, I was like, please God, don't be weird. It's not weird.
God,
incredibly
it's gonna be so
wholesome.
easy.
Yeah, incredibly wholesome. Like he's got his own storyline. He just cares about her and ice skating as like his student. And I think, like in professional sports, you obviously do have adult coaches. So like, and not all, like I'm sure there are some horrific stories, which is not what's being explored here though. So it's like very much a, the coach is the best character. I love him. I want him to succeed so much. I want him to find love. I want him to become a gold medalist at 26. He's not going to, but he's now put his hopes and dreams. Like, he's not like pressuring her, but he's now becoming a good coach, and he's really good at it, and she's really good. Very wholesome. I've cried a couple of times already. It's a really beautiful show. The characters are all very nuanced. The girls are great. The main girl, I love her. She's a wreck, but also not. She's really dedicated. It's just like a very nice show. And even the competitiveness between, like, it's so easy to write like an evil. But there's this girl who is like
prodigy.
on her way. She's the prodigy. She's on her way. She's the same age as the girl. She's level like 8 or 9.
Sasuke.
She's got long dark hair and
course
is
she does.
mysterious, but she's actually lovely. She's delightful, and she's always encouraging her. They kind of meet, and she's always just like, I can't wait to skate with you one day. Like, I'll see you in the ice. And then she says that to his coach, and he's like, that's wild that you just said this, like the national champion versus a beginner kind of thing. So, but she's kind of like, no, I believe in her. So it's really nice.
That is wholesome.
Yeah, honestly, I think Medalist is great. It's interesting when it first starts. It starts with the opening sequence is very much like 3D animation, very obviously for the ice skating routines, which I think makes sense if you're gonna animate some ice skating. Surely that's how you do it. It took me a second, but I did think that, like, although it's not my favorite art style, I think that the way that they animated ice skating worked a treat. Like the way her hair was moving with it, and it was like very beautiful. And I think a reason ice skating works so well with anime is because it does look really, I know it must be very hard to do, but it looks really beautiful when it's animated. And it gives that performance energy that I think that's why it works so well for anime. Because like Euro on Ice is obviously another classic that I absolutely love. I think Medalist is really good. It's just wholesome, emotional, quite realistic story. Like it's, they're not telling her it's going to be easy to do this. She's 11, this girl's got 3 years on her and is like has been training, doesn't even go to school, just trains continuously. And she's like trying to get her mum to even let her do any lessons. And it's really good. I highly recommend Medalist. It's definitely my pick of the season, other than Apothecary Diaries.
Right on. Well, here's something that's brand new as well that I initially thought in our Hype-Up episode. I was like, here's a show about an animator animating a new show.
Oh, yeah.
Mappa. It's going to be like, it's meta. There's so many things going on here. The show's a fucking isekai. So
yeah, I love how you missed that in the Hype-Up. Yeah, it's a full isekai.
Full
isekai.
Yeah. As isekai as it gets.
It's so funny.
As
it's
isekai
kind of cool.
as it fucking gets. But a little bit different. So we're talking about interesting female protagonists with Mao Mao, and this character as well is also really interesting. So Natsuko Hirose. Now, it opens up where basically she's this sort of mid-late 20s genius character where she's created this amazing sort of magical girl show and she's famous. And everyone's like, wow, what's her next show going to be? Her next one is going to be a movie, and it's sort of more of a traditional rom-com-y, girl meets boy sort of story. Anyway, she ends up eating a bad clam and dying.
I like
she
that.
dies from eating a poisoned clam.
I like
Die
clam
from
kun.
eating a plant?
Clam kun.
Clam?
Apparently, in this world you can. Anyway,
Yeah, you can
Have they
die.
just ran out of ideas to kill people in isekais?
You
Yeah,
could
I
die
think
from
so.
food poisoning.
I mean,
but she dies like instantly.
you'd have
Oh,
to
right.
shit
Yeah.
yourself to death, wouldn't you? Like,
It would take a while. You have to have like something that goes on.
Yeah, she'd be in hospital for weeks. Like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
sitting at her desk
Oh, she just goes.
and like eats the clam and then he's dead. So it's like
they're running out of ideas. Like,
This is just a start.
yeah.
it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
But a
Clam kun, that's wild.
clam kun, it's so good. Anyway, so she ends up basically in a movie that she used to watch. It was an obscure movie, basically set in a fantasy world with the 9 heroes. And the 9 heroes are trying to protect these kind of like crystals. There's several, like 7 or 8 key crystals around the world. And these bug-like creatures are coming to attack them. And like the 9 heroes need to protect them. There's one left at the end, right?
I've watched this show as a kid in the 90s.
Feels like it.
Stone protectors or
Yeah, exactly right.
something
So
like, yeah, okay.
that's sort of what it's all based off, right? And she has like grown up. She knows the movie. It's actually wasn't very successful, but she loved it. She knows every single thing about it.
Like me and the Swan Princess.
And also Me and the Swan Princess.
Actually, that's pretty successful.
I'm
movie.
Me and the
underrated.
Swan Princess.
Fun fact about the Swan Princess: the very last fully hand-drawn cartoon movie ever.
I like how you came with that fact.
every
Even though
day.
how do you know I was going to bring up the Swan Princess?
Didn't that's stored in the brain? That one's ready to go.
I
That's
can't
in
wait
the
for trying to
chamber.
bring up Swan Princess always.
I'm sure that's keeping an actual fact from like entering into your synapses as well. Like,
It's all Dr. Stone and then that Swan
that's
Princess
it.
fact. That's all I got.
like the Earth revolves around the sun isn't in there, but the Swan Princess fact is like.
Anyway, so essentially she has one power that she knows the story. So she gets set into it and she's like, oh, this is going to happen next because she knows the story, right? That's one of her powers that she has.
Omniscient reader.
Yeah, it's some omniscience, but not only is that's not her only power.
Dare speak about omniscient reader in my presence.
Show is-
You
it's
have
trash.
some respect. It's so good. Anyway.
Anyway, I look forward to this debate down the line. But essentially, her power ends up being she's got like her clip. So it's not even her actual like pen. It's like the clip thing they put on the top of like the bundle of paper.
Oh,
A paper.
paperclip.
Not a paper clip. It's a full. It's like a peg. It's
Oh,
like
the peg.
Really
you know,
long.
What do you call that?
I think it's a writing peg. I
A
think she calls it
peg.
a writing peg.
Okay.
That sounds dirty or something. But anyway, she but essentially she can not always, only when it speaks to her. So in moments of great crisis, she's like, "Oh, wait, the bugs are going to attack in like 20 minutes. I need to warn everyone." But she looks weird because she's sort of also an interesting character because she's kind of like potentially
so bizarre.
it's so bizarre, man. She's very much like socially very awkward, very sort of artistic genius. Like wears her hood up, has all of her hair down in front of her face like the fucking Ring. And
Oh, cool.
So everyone
Yeah.
thinks that she's like a monster when she goes to this new world. And
I like it.
yeah, it's actually pretty cool show. It looks good too. Good animation. Mappa are cooking. And in moments of great crisis, she's like, guys, like these bugs are going to attack, and they're like, shut up, you fuck. What are you? Like, are you a
weirdo.
monster yourself? You
Get
know,
outta
like,
here.
Literally, like, get out of here, you weirdo. Anyway, when it all comes down, there, she's like, oh wait, that character's like going to die. Like the little unicorn man's going to die.
Oh,
'Cause
no.
There's nine heroes, but there's only like 4 left at this point that she's dropped into the story, and all of a sudden her writing peg, which we're now calling it, speaks to her and says like, right, you can draw. And so now she sort of has size power in this world from Naruto, where whatever she draws comes to life.
That's so cool.
And she has a full magical girl transformation into those moments. Like it's full, like it's actually quite an amazing thing. You should check it out. Just check that little bit out on
Thank
YouTube. It's
God
pretty
she's
cool.
a good drawer.
Well, yeah,
If that were me,
that were me.
if that were fucking me, it would be
We're all
the
dead.
like it
Yo,
would
stick
be.
figure
They're
cat.
like, is that a gun or like is a sword? But it's just like a piece of string. Like
The moment I live is agony.
I'd be like, I've created a monster.
But obviously she's an amazing drawer. Those things come to life, and basically she then starts working off into this world. But she has 2 powers: knows the future of, and which she can change, and can when things get really bad, she can draw stuff. And also, it's funny.
This is much different. I thought this show was
So
about,
different.
like-
But one of the
Yeah,
funniest...
you did not even mention it was an isekai in the hype up, which is so funny.
Yeah, fuck that up. So anyway,
Dr. Stone, no space apparently.
Dr. Stone...
This one,
Push something old out of
ever, you never trusted
new
to
out of
read
my
a
brain.
synopsis ever again. You're like, I got it. And I'm like, you didn't say that at all.
That's not it. Anyway, but a really funny moment, for example, is like, there's a moment where there's two priests, and the priests are kind of these like almost robotic figures, and they're at a festival. And she's like, wait, one of these priests is actually one of the bugs disguised, and he's going to attack and take the crystal down. And then they're like, she starts saying, hey, one of these guys is a bug, and they're both the priests like mirroring each other, doing the same thing.
Yeah,
a real
yeah.
comedic moment. And she's like, how are we going to tell them apart? She's like, wait a minute, I bet one of you can't do this. And so, you know the dance where you put your like knees together and like move your hands across? And it was like, what? And she's like, and then one of the actual priest goes, does it. And the other one, like the bug's like, ah! Like, turns into the bug.
That's pretty funny.
I was like, that's actually really funny.
That's pretty
So
funny.
it's off the wall, it's silly, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Again, falls into a lot of isekai tropes, but it's doing enough different that I actually am still watching it, and I think it's pretty fun. So yeah, Zenshu, not what I sold it to you all as, but sometimes I like to, just keep you guessing,
Yeah.
So
That was a test.
that was a test.
That you
Were you
failed.
all paying attention?
Okay.
Yeah, I failed it. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much been it for me.
I dropped a show that I thought I was going to love. I just don't know, like, I couldn't get into it, and I had if I read it, couldn't, like, it was like I designed it for myself and I just didn't like it. And that is Honey Lemon Soda. And again, I described it like it's got the things I like. I thought it was basically, I just wanted it to be Skip and Loafer. And the design looks similar to Skip and Loafer. Like, you've got the blonde haired guy who's like the popular one who looks out for the girl, and they have this like nice relationship, and like, but I just couldn't get behind it. I don't know what it is. I think the pacing's off in the show, but this one just did not catch my attention. I don't know what it is about it, but I actually couldn't get past the third episode. I was like,
wow.
and it's like that one from 2 seasons ago where the guy was actually like, I think secretly a serial killer, and I was hoping for a big reveal. Do you remember that one I was talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And it just wasn't.
It turns out that he was just meant to be the love interest, and I was like, he's crazy. I'm scared for him. But this one, like, I get why the guy is appealing, and like, I just couldn't. I don't know. Maybe the protagonist is just that it's a very like confident boy and shy, misunderstood social outcast girl is a very common anime romance trope for shoujo in particular. And some of it's done really, really well. There's like Kimi no Todoke, all that kind of stuff that I really do like. But maybe I've just seen enough of it and I just kind of went, you know what, I'm good. And I just didn't like that with the style and the pace. That was my problem. So I feel bad, and I know that people love the manga. I know that, but I think I'm just searching for that high that Skip and Loafer gave me. And luckily, going to get that soon when season 2 comes out.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah. Well, basically, that's the season, guys.
That's it.
That's what we're watching.
That's what we're watching. What are
And
you
like,
watching?
we've
Let us
dropped a
know.
bunch of things, so let us know, because that's not enough. There must be something good there. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's
something somewhere.
something.
I mean, there's still a 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I'm still watching basically 6 shows.
That's a lot of
you
shows.
which is still a lot, but a lot of returning stuff. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not much new has got me, and I really thought Sakamoto Days would, but
You're too busy with Dr. Stone.
Yeah.
someone's got to watch it. Anyway, also banging opening for Dr. Stone at the moment.
yeah.
Ali, the same guy who did Lost in Paradise, the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen season
Oh
1.
yeah. He does
Him.
it.
And,
Yeah, I'll
and
check
it's a
that out.
really stylized, like kind of.
This might get me to watch Dr. Stone.
It's
Season
also
10.
like they've done a really good sort of dance, like Casino Royale type
Oh, yeah.
kind of thing. Opening, everyone's dancing
Okay,
and doing like a
okay,
whole
okay.
choreograph thing. Really cool. It's really weird for Dr. Stone. This doesn't normally happen. So
Medalist's got a good one too.
good opening as well.
Yeah. And I like Apothecary Diaries one as well. It's
great.
Really, really good. So, yeah.
So couple
Openings, good.
couple
Openings
good-
are always kind of good though.
Well, that's not true.
Is that what's a bad one?
Well, there's a lot of meh ones which you just would never remember as long as I
The
live.
last 4 Bleach ones.
Yeah. Oh no, Stars was good. Stars was good. I like that.
But I could have heard that in 2005. Like,
I guess that's the point, though, isn't it?
yeah, I guess.
Trying to
That's a
evoke that.
compliment.
I guess. It just
guess.
wasn't. I want something new and different.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, for example, there's a lot of Doctor Stone openings which, if you put a gun to my head and said, "Sing me the second season's first core opening of Doctor Stone," I'd be like, "Kill me now. I'm
So
gone. I've got no chance."
anyone who knows me personally knows that I love to do quizzes when I've had a couple of beers. like on YouTube, and I often do like guess the anime opening, and I'm so fucking bad. You think I watch this shit on repeat, and like unless it's something that is really sticks to me, or it says it like in the first 5 seconds, or it's like Sasageyo, so I'm always like, what is this? Or it's like, you know, so I find it really hard to retain knowledge of openings, I found, even if I've watched them for seasons at a time. So it's hard.
Honestly, there's so many of them too.
Just wait
Like
till you get to my
again,
age.
once
You
you
don't know any characters' names or place names. You're just like,
Where are
Every
we?
time.
I only just learned who the Beatles were.
every time I learn something new, it puts something old out of my brain. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching again. Slightly weak season, but that doesn't mean there aren't some good things in there. Please let us know what you're watching because we love to hear it. And hey, if there's something that we've missed, we'd love to check it out. Again, really appreciate the time you all spend with us. Of course, you know, can't do what we do without you all. And again, if you really want to help us out, you can join us over on Patreon. Special episodes for the top tiers, as well as behind the scenes footage and early releases. Really does help us out a lot. Otherwise, hit us up on a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and watch us on YouTube, Instagram, and or TikTok. Anyway, Charlie, Graeme, thank you so much. It's been the Winter 2025 Roundup. Good times.
Thank you. I think I'm going to make an edit of the Shaman King, but it's going to be you, but the Ramen King.
Finally.
Just in that style. Yeah. Anyway.
It's about time.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Watch the Instagram. Anyway, we'll catch you all later. Have a good one.